What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by George Wall Ford. George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to Interview Thursday. As we said on Tuesday's show, we have the director of golf at Ballyowen and Black Bear, Mark Melillo. Mark is a New Jersey, a Jace guy, grew up right over the border, but he's been at the Crystal Springs Resort for the last nearly 2 decades. Has a great spot at Ballyowen, and Mike and I loved Black Bear. He's in charge of those 2 courses, kind of bounces back and forth, and really a kind of a fun interview. And we talk about the courses, we talk about some history, we talk about, we kind of mentioned our experience there. And as you guys heard on Tuesday's episode, we loved our experience there. It was a tremendous facility. Ballyowen is as good as you can get in the state. It is excellent. So we really had a fun time, and we kind of recapped that with Mark.
Listen, I mean, this has been icing on the cake for us when it comes to Crystal Springs Resort. I mean, you talk about the lodging, you talk about the people, you talk about the golf courses. Who better to have on than the one guy that gets to oversee what we think are the top 2 spots at the resort? So for me, I look at it like, who better to wrap up this Crystal Springs week than getting the man, the myth, the legend himself on, Mark Melillo. I said to him very early, he seems like a little bit of a mystery man to me because I try to connect with almost everybody and anybody that I can. I finally got to the guy. So it was good chatting with him. And listen, I know the audience will thoroughly enjoy it because these are 2 spots that I know that are talked about amongst everybody that plays golf here in the Garden State.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, here's our interview with Mark Melillo. Cheers.
So here we are today. We're going to continue that Crystal Springs Resort little tradition here as we go. We went up there last year. We had an unbelievable time. You heard in Tuesday's show about how, Ryan and I just thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and who better to have on today than the director of golf at Ballyowen and Black Bear Golf Club. Today's guest is Mark Melillo. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike, Ryan. Super excited to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, so I got a lot of things to ask you. I mean, you're at an unbelievable, not only resort, but also what now I'm learning two golf courses. I kind of thought it was just one. But both of those, if you had asked Ryan and I, prior in the pre-show, we would have said that's our 1-2 punch up there. So let's talk a little bit about, before we even get into the golf courses, Crystal Springs Resort itself. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of background about you, how you got to, where you are, how you got into the game of golf, and a little bit about that type of stuff.
Sure. So, yeah, my passion for golf started when I was 12 years old, 28 years ago. My dad had an old set of Spalding irons in the basement, and just grabbed them, started hitting them in the front yard, banging them off of trees, hit them off the house a couple times, and it all started from there. Never did I expect ever to be in golf. Went to Manhattan College Business School. Graduated, started to do, some computer consulting coming out, and I realized it was never for me. I couldn't sit in front of a computer all day. And, I learned about the Crystal Springs Resort back then. 17 years now. Learned about the resort and figured, why don't I try this for, 1 year plan to figure out what I wanted to do in life. So I started in the pro shop at Black Bear 17 years ago, and just kind of worked my way up. I did event coordinator, assistant manager at Black Bear and Ballyowen. And from there, it's all over. 17 years later, fell in love with the game. Couldn't imagine leaving the game of golf. It's been a passion of mine, and love it. And the resort, amazing, close to home. It's been a special 17 years for me.
It sounds like it. That like close to home thing also is like a nice little caveat to it, right? So you're coming, you're close by, you're working your way up. You're like a homegrown. You look at. I see you're a Yankee fan there. It's like you're one of
Yankee
the core
fan,
four,
all the way.
the original like Andy Pettitte, Derek Jeter guys that come up through the majors or minors and then get up there. I like that story. That's nice.
Yeah, 100%. That was my team too. That 96, 98, 99 team. That was absolutely.
I mean, we could still live in the glory days of the Yankees. I mean, we can. Because I don't know what the hell's been going on in the last 20 years, but whatever the case is, that story's for another day.
Exactly.
But
got good memories though.
Very good. Yeah, but we need some more. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
We need some more, right?
100%.
So obviously, it's kind of
you
crazy.
guys got enough, but go on.
That's fan.
Here we go. Yeah, Cubs even
Oh,
worse.
Cubs fan.
Yeah,
you had a good run. You had a year there.
Yeah, you had your time. You had your
year.
time.
Had our time.
Yeah.
Okay.
One time, yeah.
So Mark, were you born and bred here in New Jersey as well? Like you kind of have your roots here, and that's kind of, Crystal Springs has always been something that like had interested you, or did you come from outside the area?
So close, but born and raised in New York. So Warwick, New York, Orange County, which is right over the Sussex County border. Probably it's like 5 minutes from the Jersey border. So yeah, grew up and raised there. Bought a house with my fiance. We're now in Westtown, New York, which is still 35 minutes from the resort. Close, but not close enough. You get a little bit of a break away from work a little bit, but a super easy commute in. But yeah, always from the tri-state area, just a little bit north of the resort.
Makes sense. So these two golf courses of yours, I mean, last year when Ryan and I came up, and we've been so fortunate to meet so many kind people over there at the resort that have kind of like, whether it's the Ledbetter Academy, whether it's, at the resort, and now yourself, it's kind of just like everybody's kind of welcomed us with open arms. And last year when we came up and we played Black Bear, I always said, like, there's something about this spot that just hits for me. Like, I am a very big optics guy. I like visuals. I like to see things. And maybe someone who's always grown up at the shore and seeing nothing but like water or lakes or ponds or things like that in terms of a golf course aesthetic, like seeing mountains in a background and still being in the state of New Jersey just was like, wow. I mean, talk a little bit about Black Bear, because I do think that is maybe a little bit of an untalked about gem here in New Jersey.
Yeah, I agree with you. Out of all 6 of our courses, I feel like it's that agreed underrated, underappreciated course where it is settled right in the Hamburg Mountains. You mentioned to anybody like, oh, I'm going up to New Jersey. They think of, Newark, Patterson, like where they fly into all that industry down there. But nobody thinks about, Sussex County, New Jersey with lots of farmlands, mountains, trees. You come up in the fall, it's got unbelievable look. But yeah, Black Bear, unbelievable course. Many probably don't know same superintendent as Ballyowen. So he does an incredible job. You're going to get the same feel of the greens, the fairways, the rough over there. A lot of risk reward holes, tree lined on most of those holes, because it's such a different look than what you think of in a traditional like Jersey course, right? But it's always been, hey, like I said, first course I ever worked at in the resort. Not the first in my career. I worked a little bit in high school outside of the resort, but Black Bear's always got a special place in my heart. Greens, tees, fairway, rough. They keep that place in immaculate condition.
So Mike and I talked about this on Tuesday's episode. Like at the end there, we kind of, we've played 3 courses. We played Black Bear, Ballyowen, Wild Turkey, and for us, for both Mike and I, we both liked Black Bear better than Wild Turkey. Very close, but for us, it was the views. It was I think the golf courses. Well, I think everybody talks about Ballyowen, right? We can take that out of the equation.
Sure, fair.
But between Wild Turkey, like that's kind of the one that you always hear is like, this is the next best one. And Mike and I both felt like Black Bear held up maybe even better. Like the course itself is at least just as good, but then you put in the views, the tree line, like you said, like that does it for Mike and I. And maybe that's from 2 guys coming from down the shore, but it is excellent. And to your point, those views that I saw every bit of the tree line, it's very, it's a great golf course and doesn't get talked about at all.
Yeah, there's some great undulation on that course too. Number 11, number 12, hitting down drivable par 4s. The second hole, it's kind of a 3-shot hole for most, but if you hit a really good drive, risk reward with a little bit of a lake guarding that green. It's got great characteristics. I love Wild Turkey as well. More of a resort course, a little bit open, larger greens. It has a little bit different feel. I always refer to Black Bear has a little bit characteristics of Ballyowen meets Crystal Springs. Some of the moguls off the fairways. It plays a little bit in between the 2 of them.
Yeah, I would think for me, like that was the one thing exactly to Ryan's point that like we didn't play Black Bear this year. We did play Wild Turkey this year. So like when I think about like certain holes or certain shots or certain things that make just stand out in my mind that kind of just hit, it was always, I kept going back. Like, don't get me wrong. Wild Turkey had some great par 3s, 100%, wouldn't say anything otherwise. But Black Bear, like that 10th hole, when you just look like you're hitting the tee shot into the mountains may seem generic to some people, but like watching that ball just sail up into the mountains as if I'm going to hit the mountains is something you just can't draw up. And then on the 12th hole, when you're hitting that ball through the chute, it's like, God. And then what is it? The 13th hole that just doesn't stop going uphill.
That par 5, one of the best holes in New Jersey.
Right.
It's the best hole on the course. Yeah.
Right. And not even taking anything away from 11. That's a cool little par 3. So to me, like when I think about Black Bear and that stretch of the back 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm like, this just hits. And to me, like that's where I couldn't get away from saying Wild Turkey was even close in my eyes to Black Bear. Black Bear was it for me. And I was like, wow, this place, for whatever reason, does not get the credit it thoroughly deserves.
Yeah, 100%. Totally overlooked, but believe it or not, it's the workhorse in our resort. We'll probably do somewhere around 38,000 rounds at Black Bear this year.
Wow.
It's our absolute workhorse. It's by far the most rounds we'll do in the resort is at Black Bear this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
And
why is that?
Yeah, because it's not on property per se. It's like you got to drive a little bit. So is it more is it more public coming up there, or is it going to be, out of those 38,000, is it going to be 90% resort people?
It's our local business loves Black Bear.
Okay.
We have like our rewards membership, and that's our play there. Guys love it over at Black Bear. Driving range is awesome. We got the Ledbetter Academy on the other side, so we pull a lot from the academy. Those guys will come down and hit it. With our rewards card, we have a range membership where guys get hit off the natural grass tees. It's by far our best, short game area up top, bunker play. It just draws our local business too. We do a lot of golf outings there as well. But yeah, that's our workhorse for sure.
Dude. Listen, now that Ryan and I feel that way about that spot, it doesn't surprise me. I guess I'm not surprised because even two guys like us who don't travel up that way too often, and then when we play it, we can just see how good of a spot it truly is. And to your point, like having the Ledbetter Academy back there, Tom is amazing. Brian is super great in terms of what he does. Like that little crew up there and that little spot was like, all right, that was a fun spot when we got to go up there. We worked with Tom last year. We got to work with him again this year. Like just remembers us, like just constantly good
Called
people.
me an athlete.
Yeah,
crazy comment. That might go down in history as one of the craziest comments ever. But that you can see just like good people all around at that facility right there.
Yeah, from top to bottom, it's a home. That whole place is just a home run. Great. I mean, the staff kills it day in, day out. Especially I think just on Friday we did 260 rounds there. Get them in, get them out. It's a fun place to be at.
It's summertime, the perfect time to get that new boat you've been dreaming about. Comstock Yacht Sales, your trusted local boating source since 1973, now has 2 locations. Visit their new sales center in Seabright. In addition to their original 50-year-old family business in Brick, Comstock is the largest dealer for Grady White boats, offering 22 models to suit every size and budget. Stop by either location any day of the week to explore their impressive Grady lineup tailored to meet your family's needs. Don't forget, check out their full inventory of new and pre-owned boats online anytime at ComstockYachtSales.com. Get your Grady today. And when it comes to your time, how do you split things up? Are you at Ballyowen 3 days a week and then 4 days a week at Black Bear, or every other day? Or is it just like you wake up and it's like, I don't know where I'm going today, but I'm going to one of these 2 spots?
It's a lot of that. I'm back and forth every day, both facilities, right? We got it's always time management, right? Hardest part of being, luckily it's about 3 miles, but it's still 6 minutes each way. So you got to time that out, right? But yeah, I try to start basically where I'm needed. If we have a morning golf outing somewhere, I'll start there, work my way back and forth. Not even to mention the meetings every single day. But yeah, it's time management, absolutely key to try to be between both of those facilities when needed.
I would have thought you would have had like an underground tunnel that went from, like one pro shop to the other. You just kind of popped out in like behind the
like a Disney World type.
Yeah, like Ninja Turtles or something coming out of the sewer.
And then as you get over to the other spot, now I know that other spot, Ballyowen, is the cream of the crop. And I think when Ryan and I sit back in the fall and the winter and we talk about the best public golf courses in New Jersey, I do think it's going to be hard for Ballyowen not to be number 1, because that place, again, is just magical. I don't know how else to describe it, because the driving range, top notch. The putting green, flawless. Like the bagpiper in the morning, awesome. That place on top of the golf course just being so damn good. For a public golf course in New Jersey, I don't know if you can find anything better. And I feel like for Ryan and I, since we started this podcast, we've really traveled up, down, east, west, trying to hit them all to gauge our own opinion. I just don't know if there's a spot better than that. What's it like being at Ballyowen on a daily basis?
So I've always mentioned it as special, right? From the moment you drive up the driveway, that driveway splits the course in half. I remember the first time I drove up there for a job interview 17 years ago. I let it stop. I was like, am I going up the right entrance? It looks like I'm driving right onto the golf course right now. And when you get up, you go through, the gates when you come on with the sign, like, all right, this is this is something unique, especially for me growing up. For me, it was, a lot of local municipal courses up by me. That was kind of how me and my dad grew up playing, local county courses. And then going up to Bally, I was like, wow, this is a special place. So, there's not too many places that I could, my office is in the pro shop, and, when you need to get out for a minute, you're walking out to a veranda that is overlooking 14 unbelievable holes. So for me, not wanting to sit in a computer all day, it hit every spot. And, we're going to be, it's kind of scary to say this, but fall golf looks like it's coming soon. And being able to, hit balls on the driving range, hit into the mountain range where, the seasons are changing colors. It's unbelievable. I couldn't imagine myself, anywhere else right now.
Yeah, like you said, it's a special place, and you could. I think it's special because it has all of the things, right? Like you could just plop yourself in the golf course, and you're like, wow, this golf course is excellent. It's well manicured. The design is terrific. The greens are fantastic. Like you could take that, and then to your point, you go outside and you look at the veranda, you look at the bar that's there, the pro shop that's there, and it's like, wow, this is a wedding venue type place. Like this is an excellent food and beverage facility, right? The view then is outstanding. You got the mountains in the background, the 14 holes, like you mentioned. It is special from stem to stern. And then you add that little sprinkle of like, let's bring a bagpiper in the morning and let's
cool,
let you play the bagpipes and just like kind of lean into the Irishness of it. Like it's so good from stem to stern. I special is the best way to describe it because it is. Every part of it is special.
Yeah, you hit on it too. Going into the restaurant, we got Irish whiskey, scotch around the bar. Pretty it's just like, yeah, you go in and like you said, I love what Mike said, magical, right? It's like if you're a golfer, it's Disneyland for you. Really is.
I mean, I think the whole place is Disneyland. Like you come up to Crystal Springs, if you're a golfer, like you have, like we just went over Black Bear. Even if you want to throw wild, like you want to play 3 rounds, like 36 and 18, and then go home, like that's. You're not getting 3 better courses in that close and anywhere else in New Jersey. It is Disneyland.
Yeah, not within like 5-10 minute drive. It's all there for you.
On top of the resort too, staying at the lodge and then having those 3 spots. Like, and we were supposed to play Crystal Springs after we had our lesson with Tom on Wednesday.
Did I mention he called me an athlete?
Yeah, you did too many times. So we were supposed to play, it got rained out. So that was the one, I guess I was kind of curious about playing myself, that kind of outside the 3 that we had already talked about, because I think that one par 3 that goes right down, you got that little green, you see that picture all the time. That I would have loved to have played that hole, I guess I should say. But nonetheless, like all those courses with the lodge, it's all right there. Now, when you're at Ballyowen or even Black Bear, do you get to play? Like, what's your golf game like? Because I can't lie, we've had so many different people on the podcast from national people to local head pros to director of golf. We've never sat down with someone at a public golf facility. We haven't. It's always been someone at either an amateur that's won something, a professional that won something. We've never sat down with someone like you in a public golf course facility. What is your golf game like? Are you able to get out there and play, or is it more so for you just a business type job?
Man, you won't believe how little golf I played this year. Yeah, years ago, absolutely would be, quick 20 feet from, the first tee. You should be able to sneak out of work anytime. But I actually just looked. It's funny. I just looked the other day to see the last time I actually played Bally was May 3rd. I got out for 9 holes here. So it's been a few months. It's definitely on my list right now before this season ends to try to get out for at least 9 holes a week. But it's been more work than play, which is still okay. But definitely on my list to get out some more. Usually used to play at least 2 9s after work every single week. But it's certainly become more work than play. And then days off, I'm like I'm staying away, right? I try to stay away as much as possible on my days off to give myself a little bit of break from work. But it sounds counterproductive working at such an amazing place and not being able to use it a little bit more than I like to.
I mean, that is a thing that Ryan and I hear a lot, is when you're at such a good spot And it's like, do you get to play there? Because guys like us, we nerd out about it. Like Ballyowen, how are you not playing? Like, what's wrong with you? Or even guys at
Totally.
Plainfield, Manasquan River. We'll go up and down. You don't play there? Like, you work there? What are you crazy? And they're like, dude, sometimes I just need to get away.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to play, I'll go play somewhere else. But I need to step away from work because, to your point, when you're there, even if you're playing 9 holes, you're still kind of on the clock and people can still get to you. And that kind of doesn't allow you to enjoy the game of golf.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're never off, right? Hey, Mark's still on property. Let's get him for this. We need him for this. Once you hit it right on the head, though. I think I may have mentioned to you, we were up in like last 2 weeks. I played Pound Ridge, Neshannock Valley. This was my first 18 holes of the year. Went out somewhere else and played two amazing courses. But yeah, just to get away, it feels like a little bit of break from work.
That you played recently. You played Pound Ridge.
Incredible, yeah.
That's so funny because just this morning I played it 2 years. Like on my memories, it came up 2 years ago today. I played it. Really good course. It's a New York course, but yeah, it's a great place. Great track.
Incredible course. Absolutely beautiful. I said it's right up there with Bally for me. It is one of the nicer public courses I've ever played before.
For sure it is.
Well, Listen, I guess now that we got you on here and you just played Neshannock, and Ballyowen is I understand you could be a little biased here, but from your perspective, from a golfer's eye, what if you had to compare the two of them? I'm going to guess you're going to agree and say Ballyowen's best, but some people may yell at us and say, well, of course he's going to say that, Mike. He's at Ballyowen. Okay, right. But like someone from your perspective, compare the two, because those two are always either 1-2 or it's 1-3 and Neshannock's 3 and something else sneaks in above it. But compare those two.
Both have a little bit of some very familiar feel to the two of them, right? They have the fescue right and left, a little bit more open. You can miss right or left there. Neshannock had such a gorgeous finishing hole. 18 was probably one of the best finishing holes I've ever played. Absolutely gorgeous. It left me wanting more. I feel like I just didn't have that memorable hole for me. I took back with me besides 18. It was like, but their greens, very comparable. They rolled about the same. I thought same speed as Ballyowen. I understand why it's ranked as high as it is. There was just something there that made me want more. I don't know what it was, but it left me feeling kind of just wanting more of the course, wanting more memorable holes there that I took back with me. But overall, the experience was great there. I mean, I totally understand why they're ranked as highly as they are. In terms of, a food and beverage facility, I mean, the views at Ballyowen over that clubhouse it's just a different feel too when you drive up that driveway.
Yeah, you can't beat that at Bally. You can't. No matter how hard Neshannock does a nice job too. They got the big, clubhouse. They got a venue up top that they got, so they can have a little bit of that. But it's again, you're right. It's not going to compare to Bally.
Yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't see the venue. It was closed when we played. There was no food and beverage available afterwards. I didn't get to see their food and bev facility there.
Okay.
What, like, obviously now, just to kind of go back to Ballyowen, and we talk about memorable holes. For me, like Black Bear, that stretch of 10 through 13 is just to die for, and I probably could play that same little cycle over and over again. At Ballyowen, I feel like Ron and I sat there and were like, that one was really good. Oh, no, this one's good. No, let's stop. This par 3, number 5 or 4, whatever it is, 5, the par 3 over Wooders, like
6.
Yeah. 6, like, oh, it's so good. And then you get to the back nine, you're like, no, 11's so good. That's. I mean, is there a hole at Ballyowen that you would say, hey, listen, this is it, guys. This is it. I know you just said 6, and I know like 18, but this is like, what is the hole for you that just does it there?
So everybody asked me, they're like, there's so many good holes. What's the signature hole? And if you ask everybody, any staff member or superintendent, everybody's going to give you a different answer. Everywhere from spot on with 6, because you see it coming up the driveway. You could watch, sitting on the veranda, you could watch guys rinse it in the water all day on 6, which is kind of a fun look. But you're going to hear 6. You're going to hear 12. 12's got that rock formation on the right hand side We got the sheep pen to the right side, which no more sheeps this year, but we used to have sheep and rams up there, which was always kind of fun when they would hop the fence, charging after golfers on the golf course. Always a fun one. For me, nothing better than hole number 3. I think it's long par 5. Yeah. Long par 5, cut the corner if you want over traps, and then that green is just surrounded by that huge greenside bunker. There's nothing better than that. Risk reward from pretty much tee shot to shot in. For me, it doesn't get any better than that hole for me.
I love that hole. It's a great hole.
Gorgeous hole. I'm going to put you guys on the hot seat a little bit. What's your favorite hole on the course?
So I was actually thinking this going back to Mike's point earlier. I think that Wild Turkey has the 7th hole and the 10th hole stand out to me more, but Ballyowen doesn't have a bad hole. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it doesn't have that. The 6th hole pops to mind, but like each hole is excellent. Whereas like at Wild Turkey, the 7th and 10th really stand out. All the other holes are kind of like blended together more or less.
Yeah, understood.
But it's funny you say that. I loved the par 3 or the par 5 3rd hole as well.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent golf hole. Like you said, risk reward. You can get it up there. You can play it smart. The other one that I don't want to say I don't want to say all the like 6 we already mentioned. It's on the back, and it just kind of felt like you were in like a cavern. Like you got Big Dune on the right, Big Dune on the left. I want to say it was like 13, 14, 15, somewhere
could
in
be
there.
13. You're hitting up like super elevated green, coming back up to the driveway. Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
that stretch of holes right there is absolutely. We call it the gauntlet between 13, 14, 15, 16. 17 is a little bit gettable par 5, but then finishing on 18. We always call that one the gauntlet. That's 5 really challenging stretch of holes coming in.
And I know because I played really well that day. I shot my career low at Ballyowen. I shot 77
Love to hear
that day. And I shot Mike, was it 13-14 or 14-15?
13-14.
13-14. I went triple double. So I was 5 over, and I was 5 over on the day. So it is a brutal stretch. But that hole I really liked because you kind of felt like you were on a different part of the world. Like on the front, you can kind of see everything. You feel like you're on the golf course. This one, you felt very separated from everything. This super elevated green, it felt like you were in a different part of the world. Really, it was really a cool feeling.
Yeah, like it's like one of the few parts of the golf course you're right. You can't see the clubhouse. You can't see the driveway. You're kind of you're out there. You're out there with your own thoughts on the golf course.
Which is not where I needed to be right then.
Because listen, that stretch, to your point, now I can see why you call it the gauntlet. Because even when I said to Ryan, like every tee box that we got on was 460, 470, 440, and they're all par 4s. And it's like, all right, we need to like tighten our belts up a little bit here because we are going to be golfing these next couple holes, and if we don't get our act together, our good rounds are going to go right in the crapper. So to your point, I can see why it's called that.
Yeah, you don't want to be hitting 5-6 iron into, some of those greens. I mean, most of the greens there all have spines running through it. I always say it's one of those courses you really got to play 2 or 3 times to actually figure out the course and how to play it. 150 yards in, but if you miss it a little bit right and you're on that wrong side of the spine, you could have a 60-foot putt that's going to break, 10, 12 feet. So yeah, it's definitely when you got to get out and play a few times to totally understand the course.
I would say my favorite though was 18. I do, and I think you could probably go through the list that we had just gone through, and every one to your point is very good. I just thought 18, the way it finishes up there, you got the little, like, I guess the clubhouse is there. You got your little event area that if people were hanging out outside, you can go there. The green's elevated up on a perch that you could like kind of like after you make your last putt, you could look around and just see everything. The tee shot was demanding. The second shot, it may not be as hard if you hit a good tee shot in terms of what's coming in, but I just thought that last walk in, kind of climbing the hill, just put like the cherry on the top for such a special spot that last hole to everything there, it just made it all so damn good. And it's hard for me to think about other holes knowing how that hole just makes you wrap up your round and really probably say like, all right, it's a good day to play 36. Let's start over.
Oh yeah, especially if you hit a birdie on that hole, you feel so good. You feel so good coming off, and like, all right, let's go. Even par on that hole, and you said it, that tee shot not easy. All those bunkers are so strategically placed, left, right. If you're going to try to carry them in those three traps, that easy right miss when you're hitting into, it's. I think the green is something like 60 feet long, but it's super narrow. You miss a little right, you're going to end up one of those pop bunkers to the right hand side. So yeah, love it. Great finishing hole.
I do know somebody that made a birdie there on the last hole there too. So I mean, that's probably why he wanted to keep going. So the big fella dropped a bomb on the 18th hole, and he said, "Let's go play again. Let's go play again." I said, "Listen, it's getting late right now. We got to record some things." But
nothing better than finish.
I'm a Cubs fan.
Nothing better than
Banks.
finishing with a birdie on that hole.
Yeah. It was really good. I will say this, talking about another hole, which one's the one that goes along the woods? It's on the front. It's not, I think it's a par 5. It's got water on it off the tee. It's like
hole number 5. I mean,
5.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
I sat in that fairway, like hit my drive and out, and that view where you're kind of like backs against the wall there, against the woods, and you can see all of the golf course. That's a great hole as well. That's a beautiful view of the whole place.
Yeah.
That's another one that's sticking out here.
I mean, do we want to go through 1 through 18? And we go through 1 through 18 right now with every single hole.
I got that time.
It's just so good. I mean, when you talk about the rounds that are being played at Black Bear, and then I get it that the price may scare some people from Ballyowen because it is on the expensive side. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I always say sometimes you're going to pay for quality. Like, that just comes with the territory that we all live in. Like, to play the best, sometimes you got to pay a little bit more. Like, what are the rounds comparatively speaking to a place like Black Bear?
So this year, I think even last year, we're between 29,000 and 30,000, which still is just a crazy number. And you hit it spot on. And what I tell my staff each and every day is never take this place for granted, and never take for granted the people that are coming up here, right? Me growing up, if I ever played Ballyowen, never did. But if I played a course of this caliber, that was like our one treat of the year, So most importantly, treat everybody that coming up that this may be their only round that they're going to play up here. It's absolutely, costly. It's the most expensive in the area. I like to say, you get what you pay for there, and hoping, between the golf course and, the service coming up the driveway, and the service you're going to get there, the restaurant, our number one goal is to leave everybody happy. We want everybody to come back, but never take it for granted, and, never let anybody go and, going home dissatisfied, and hope to think that we're making 30,000 people happy each and every year.
And that's a good point too, because not only is it expensive or the caliber, but it's way up north. Like, Mike drove 2.5 hours to play it. Like, if someone is either staying at the resort, and obviously you're part resort course, so you want to keep them happy as far as the resort goes, but then also if they're making a day trip out of it, they gave you your whole day. Like, let's give them the best service possible, because this could be, to your point, it could be the only thing they do today. It could be the only time they come up today. We want to make their experience memorable, and that's a good way to keep it, or to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. We think about, one year, like we're talking to Disneyland because we're Disneyland for golf. Like, hey, it might be a one trip a year, one trip every 5 years. It's the special place, and we got to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Listen, it's one of those things that I know Ryan and I talk about after we leave. It's like, I hope they want us back again next year, because, it's a spot that we both thoroughly enjoy, not only the resort, but the Ledbetter Academy too. I mentioned Tom and Brian over there, like your 2 golf courses, Wild Turkey, the whole spot is just something that, like, every summer that we look forward to coming up there and just showcasing something new that pops up. So I can't thank you enough for hopping on today's show. I mean, it can't be July already next year. I can't wait to come back and see that spot, and fingers crossed we're able to make it all happen.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you have never been up here in the fall, then it sounds like, well, if you want to make a trip up in the fall, love to have you. You got to see the course in the fall. The views are spectacular. It's different. It hits a little bit different in the fall. So Let's link it up. Get you.
Are you teeing up with us?
I'll play with you guys this year. Deal. Let's do it. You'll probably be my first 18 holes at Bally this year. Let's hit it in the fall. I'd love to do it.
Listen.
There you go.
We're not
We'll
two
make that
people
happen.
that you need to really convince. So,
It doesn't sound like I got to twist your arm very hard. But yeah, absolutely,
Nah.
guys. Love to have you. Let's get out. We'll hit it together.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Mark. I really appreciate everything.
You got it,
Absolutely,
guys.
Mark. Thank you so much.
You got it, guys.